I wanted to make a quick video talking about a few tips that I think are valuable in Act 1, and this can be applied to Honor Mode or regular. It's just good advice in general, I think. The first is I usually kill Nettie. I mean, hey, she attacked me first, but I usually do that because I want free reign to loot all of that stuff on this side of the Druid Grove cave, including the books. Make sure you take all that. There's some health potions, some alchemy materials, and also a mind flayer parasite. So I just typically kill her, so I have free reign to take all of that, and I don't really give it a second thought. Sorry in advance, Nettie. Also important, your survival chests. Make sure you're trying to succeed on any checks you find to try and get those chests. They are sometimes full of very valuable items. And remember, if you know where something is, or you're in the general area and you make that check and no one passes it, you can still use your shovel in that area to try and find it. It's pretty much just a clue rather than them just telling you straight up what it is. Another thing that's really important are shields. Shields are just going to give you passive +2 to your armor class, and anyone who can use a shield that where it doesn't affect their gameplay, absolutely use them. So for example, I give one to Asterion, and Asterion doesn't use shields at all. He's a ranger, but now he's got passive +2 to his AC, and it's 19. Same with Gale, he can use shields. My druid can use shields. Karlach could too, but obviously we don't want that. There are a few items that are worth collecting. Number one, the Necromantic Tome. If you want to potentially gain a summoning spell later in the game, and you can use this mage hand to bypass the trap as you're seeing here. Just have your mage hand throw it out into the open, it gets destroyed, and you don't even have to worry about having a rogue around to try and disarm that for you. And you can use that for a variety of things where you're trying to get an item that's trapped, as long as it's not too heavy, like the ceremonial, I believe, is the great axe in the monastery. You're also going to want to go collect Shovel's scroll, which is in the same place. It's in this casket that I'm showing here. You're going to want Gale to learn that. I think it's just 50 gold. And now you've got a permanent companion that you can summon on a ritual. It can turn invisible, it can frighten enemies, give a surprise, gets outclassed in damage later on pretty easily, but it's nice to have in the early game, especially if you're using a summoning build. Also, collect the Amulet of Sylvanus, which gives you a free Lesser Restoration spell. Normally it would be under the rock by where the bear is standing, but I've already moved it. And now you don't have to waste a spell slot on that. Very useful. Next, make sure you have a bludgeoning weapon. You can get the Doom Hammer from the Goblin Merchant in the Goblin Camp where I'm at right now. It's very good. It puts bone chill on your target when it actually connects. And there are going to be certain situations where bludgeoning damage really comes in handy, and you're going to want that around. Also, as a fun little tidbit here, if you are the Dark Urge, you can pick up these roasted dwarf parts, and if you eat them, they'll heal you. For everyone else, it doesn't work that way, and I just learned that in this playthrough. I thought that was interesting. Also, we haven't seen any footage of it yet, but the Zaith'isk in the Gith Monastery, if you put your character in it, not Lae'zel, and you pass all of the relevant checks, then you can make it so that your Illithid powers are on a bonus action instead of just on a regular action, and that gets really useful later on when your powers really start to develop. Not really on my druid, but my other characters for sure. As far as items go, there are 3 items that I do recommend you buy. The first one is the Periapta Wound Closure. I use it on any character who needs it. It is one of the best necklaces in this game, because anytime you heal with that necklace on, you will get the maximum benefit of that heal anytime you use it. So if there are a lot of people in your party that are injured, just pass it around to whoever needs it, get your heals, and you're just getting the maximum amount of healing every single time you use it. It is so good that I'm shocked they put it so early in the game. The other item would be the Gloves of Dexterity. I don't remember what they're called specifically, but they make your dexterity a minimum of 18, which is really useful for dex checks or really just initiative. If you have a character that you want to be higher in the initiative count or for any reason, I think it's just great to have around no matter what, as long as your character isn't spec'd for dex already. And the last one are the Gloves of Thievery, which you can buy from the Zentarum merchant, and that's going to give you advantage on all of your sleight of hand checks. Anytime you have to disarm a trap or anytime you have to open something, it's pretty much going to guarantee that you open it. It is very, very useful to have. I do recommend going to buy it, especially if you're going to loot the counting house later in the game. And I just want to mention real quick before I forget, you can buy that healing necklace I was describing from Lady Esther. She's in the outside the monastery in Act 1. She's the one who wants to get you the Gith Egg, that quest. And also, the Gloves of Dexterity can be bought from Jira, who is a Gith who's actually inside of the monastery itself. And then the last item I wanted to mention was Psychic Spark, and that is sold by Blurg in the Underdark. And what it does is it gives you an additional dart whenever you cast Magic Missile. And that may not sound like much, but it's actually very, very useful. You'll be surprised how late in the game Magic Missile can be. Just that little extra damage that it puts out is always guaranteed, and more importantly, it can put pressure on casters who are concentrating on something. That three darts on level 1 now turns into 4, and it's 4 separate chances to break concentration just on a level 1. Very, very powerful item. Very underrated in my opinion. I would recommend going and getting that. It's very inexpensive early in the game. And that's all there is to it. If you learned something new, great. I hope it helps you in your future playthroughs. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.